Pop back up. Is there a new stream started yet? Can you test your sound, see if I can still hear you?
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I haven't seen it pop up yet. Let me refresh. All right, there we go.
We should be live.
Got it.
Come on back. I certainly apologize for the disruption. I have no idea why the live stream dropped, but apparently it dropped on all of our live stream places. And so I had to reconnect. The Zoom stayed up, but the feed dropped, which is really unusual. I'm not sure, but I think we're back up live. I think we're back up live. If you're on Zoom, can you give me some feedback?
Yes, we're back.
Okay, if you are reconnecting, let me know that we're back up and you can see the feed. I'm not really sure what happened, but I had to go back through and start over and reconnect. And I think we are back. So I do apologize for that technical blip. Not quite sure why, but I think we're back. So tonight's lesson, we get back to our empathy in various contexts and discuss some of the uniquenesses of the special relationships. And tonight is empathy with siblings. I have two siblings, an older sister and a younger sister. And so when I think about empathy with siblings, I'm thinking about what empathy looks like in my relationships with my sisters. Their empathy toward me, my empathy toward them. And so that's kind of what we're going to be talking about on this evening. Introductory statement. One day in second grade, a few of my classmates were mean to me. When I got home, I ran to my room, jumped on my bed, and began to cry. My sister came in, sat down next to me, and asked what happened. When I told her, she said, I got a little nervous when I read this part. I'm not quite sure who this sister is, but when I told her, she said, it really hurts when people are mean. Then she put her arms around me and let me cry my eyes out. Funny thing is, I don't remember what my classmates did or said to upset me, but I do remember my sister hugging me and letting me cry. What a wonderful example of second grade empathy. And so, yeah, so let's talk about empathy with siblings. There were the general principles of empathy carry over regardless of the special relationships, but sometimes these relationships really give us opportunity to think about the uniqueness of those relationships and just some principles to keep in mind in terms of what empathy looks like in those settings. So the first thing the author talked about is the ability to relate on your level, to be able to see things from your perspective and what that looks like between siblings. You know, as I was reading this chapter, sometimes there are people that you were raised with that are not your biological sibling, but you were raised with them in such a way in the closeness that in some rare instances, this could really be applicable to those relationships, even if they weren't biological siblings. There are some times where people were raised so close that they are able to share these same things as biological siblings are. And so one of those things is the ability to relate on your level. Here's what the author had to say. We've got some comments here. Alma says, teamwork, y'all. Yes, thank you to all of you Zoomers who helped me make sure when we were up and adjust things I needed to. I really appreciate that. First Lady says, I have an older sister and brother, an older sister and brother. As children, this never happened, but as adults, my siblings have shown empathy toward me. So First Lady, your siblings never just put their arm around you and hugged you and let you cry when people were mean to you at school?
No, they were mean as children, my sister and brother included.
So no empathy for the First Lady as a child, y'all. Maybe as they turn and get a little bit older. So anyways, the ability to relate on your level. Thanks for sharing. That's kind of funny. Siblings often relate to each other in ways no one else can. Typically, they've grown up in the same household, sometimes even sharing a room. They're of the same familiar generation, experiencing many of the same life events from a similar vantage point. Those commonalities can help them more readily identify with and understand the pressures and issues they each face, which often leads siblings to turn to each other for emotional support. You know, I thought about what the author was saying, and of course, they go on to give specific examples of people who have contributed to the writing of the book. But I believe there's something to that the potential for siblings to provide emotional support through empathy, the potential is great if you share commonalities. There are certain things that you don't have to explain that siblings understand what it was like to be raised at a certain time with certain circumstances around certain people, and it really provides an opportunity, the potential for empathy to be shown at great levels. And the First Lady is not holding back on tonight. Sherry Tipler Williams and Doyle Tipler. Yes, I'm talking about y'all. She is calling names, y'all. Wow. No holding back from the First Lady tonight. Alma says, my special sisters and brothers from another mother have been shown to me throughout the years, I realize this is rare and truly a blessing. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That was kind of my disclaimer as I was reading through the lesson, that it's not always just your biological siblings, but sometimes the bonds can be just as close. And even sometimes the bonds can be closer. But especially if you were raised together, there's just a common set of circumstances that provide great potential for showing empathy from siblings and those who are close as siblings. So that was the first one. The second one was very similar, very similar. Siblings know the real, they know the real you because they've lived life with you in certain circumstances. Siblings know the real you. Anybody found that to be true? The siblings know the real you, and they don't. They know all your dirty laundry, and that can potentially provide great opportunity for empathy. Let's see what the author had to say. Because of their formative years together, siblings often have special knowledge or insights about each other. A sibling may know parts of your past that people you get to know later in life aren't aware of. Siblings have seen you at your best and worst, which can help them more readily understand the real you. All this can put a sibling into a position to empathize in ways or in situations that others might not. You know, another thing, as I was thinking about during my prep time, was not only the non-biological relationships that may be just as close as sibling relationships, but also thought about the sibling relationship of twins. And sibling relationship of twins can often provide even a greater sense of connection, which provides an even greater potential opportunity for showing high levels of empathy. And, you know, I think to some degree, as I think about my relationship with my sisters, there's some things that I don't have to preface, you know, I don't have to set the context for. And I can just kind of share what's going on and how I feel about what's going on. And I don't need a backstory. And sometimes that is just a great blessing to be able to have someone that has shared enough life with you that they can really experience what you're feeling and be able to express it back to you in ways that that really meet your emotional needs to help you process what's going through and provide really provide Christian care. Sometimes Christians, or I'm sorry, sometimes siblings rather, sometimes siblings, they know the real you. And certainly as I think about my life, um, my siblings have seen me go through some of the worst experiences in my life and seen me as I navigate some of the best experiences of my life. And that is just a great blessing in terms of a foundation for the opportunity for empathy. First Lady says, when it comes to family situations, yes, I absolutely agree. They already know, and I don't have to give a history lesson for them to understand and show care. That is a great blessing. And not all siblings take advantage of that opportunity to show Christian Christian care, but the potential for it is great. It is great. Sometimes it requires a lot of empathy to help people understand when they don't have common experiences. And sometimes that can take away from the need to be cared for when you've got to work hard, at least to create opportunity for understanding. And I'm telling you, when you are in need of Christian care, when you're the one who needs the empathy, to have to work hard to help people understand, just to give them the opportunity to show empathy, is a challenging thing. And so when there are people in your life that you don't have to do all of that with, and those people have demonstrated the ability to show empathy, it is a great gift. It is an amazing gift. And just word of caution, when you're the one that's in need of empathy, it is my opinion that sometimes that ain't the right time to be doing extra work to help people understand, or even separate their care from their poor caring skills to add to the need that you have for empathy in the first place. Unfortunately, that's the world in which we live in. Whether it's siblings or whomever it is that's close to you, that self-care is such that if your sibling isn't that person, then you really should retain the liberty to not engage that person if you've got to go through all the explanations, all the context, all the separating their character from their, it's just, sometimes it ain't time for all of that. Y'all understand what I'm saying? And it's just really a word of caution, because just because the opportunity exists doesn't mean that's always the case in reality. And that's the other half of what the lesson doesn't say, but I want to make sure that I give opportunity to express that, because I've found in my life that just because the opportunity for empathy exists, whether it's sibling or not, sometimes it creates more of a hardship for the person needing care. And it's just an unfortunate reality. And I'm grateful that we are sharing this so that we are not those people. that we can be people that can help people in their time of need through empathy, and not adding to their emotional load on top of whatever is going on in their lives. First Lady says it's too much work sometimes, especially when your emotional reserves are low and you're the one that needs care. So yeah, that was just it just needs to be stated. The next reality is bridging differences and resolving misunderstandings, the roles that siblings can play in that regard. Here's what the author had to say. In any family, differences and conflicts will sometimes arise, possibly resulting in pain and division. Ideally, siblings can resolve these issues and mostly heal wounds through grace, forgiveness, and a commitment to each other. And I fully agree with that. Sadly, though, there are times when differences remain and the divide lingers or even grows. In such situations, relating with empathy can go a long way toward bridging differences and cleaning up misunderstandings, large and small. Yeah, I think that that's a good word from the author, and because of the relationship with siblings, particularly if it's a healthy and loving environment, the ability to be able to demonstrate godly love through um, these wonderful Christian caregiving tools that they mentioned: grace, forgiveness, commitment. It happens. We have conflicting wants and desires, and oftentimes how we respond to them when they're not met can lead us down the road into conflict every single time. And bridging the gap, a godly sibling can go a long ways toward bridging the gap in families. And I'm grateful that that can, in fact, be the case. The next one is the willingness to go the extra mile. The willingness to go the extra mile. Let's talk about what the author has to say. Sometimes siblings form a lasting bond in which they're willing to go the extra mile for each other, even when they aren't that close. Siblings might be more inclined to hear each other out and empathize in situations where others may lack patience or fail to understand. That type of loyalty doesn't necessarily develop in every sibling relationship, but when it does, it can be very special. Yeah, I think that if you've got an experience with that, if you've got a story, or if you can relate to that, just chime in on the chat. If you're on the Zoom, you can unmute and share whatever's appropriate in that regard. But I can recall growing up and hearing my parents preach to us over and over again. We may not always be there, and you need to learn to be there for each other. And boy, if I had $1 every time my parents told me that when we were younger, I could pay a bill. And it was just one of those things that was, at least in my experience, just ingrained in me from my parents about being there. And so regardless of the emotional closeness that I have with either one of my sisters, man, if they needed some empathy, if they were going through something, and they rang my phone and said, Dwayne, this is what's going on, you can best believe, I'll do everything in my power to demonstrate godly care. And I'm not a fighter, but I can make a couple phone calls. I can make a couple phone calls if need be. Oh my goodness. That is hilarious. Mostly true. I'm not a physical fighter, but don't don't push me in a corner either. Uh, so yeah, going the extra mile. There, in some circumstances, there are things you'll do for your siblings to show up emotionally. The patience that needs to be demonstrated, to listen to them and to share empathy, just because they're your sibling and you love them. Sometimes we will go to extra lengths that we would not go to people who are not our people, our siblings, whether they be siblings biologically or people that are close to you that you refer to them as siblings and you love them the same as you would love a biological brother or sister, that bond will lead you upon occasion to go the extra mile to demonstrate empathy and minister to their emotional needs to help them process what's going on by jumping in the mud hole with them and not over identifying. Alma said, absolutely will listen. First Lady said, true, I will do just about anything for my brother and sister. And there is a lot of that that I believe is the case. Let's move to the next one. Empathy with siblings. Create opportunities to empathize. And I thought that this one was really interesting, and in some cases it might provide a healthy challenge for us. So, are you ready for the healthy challenge?